Oh, look, we got one more I got to do for today. Today's the Saturday paper. Man acquitted in officer-involved shooting, now suing city police. That's the case I actually mentioned during the videos. A man acquitted last year for crimes for shooting Corpus Christi police officers who were executing a raid on his house is now suing the officers in city. Judge Guy Williams is the one that suggested that he would sue. Ray Rosas accuses 9 police officers of using excessive force when they used a flashbang device to disable people inside the home. Now, I spoke on this case before. Rosas also claims the officers are responsible for cruel and unusual punishment because he was jailed for 2 years on false accusations, which is true. Rosas seeks an unspecified amount of damages and payment and attorney fees, so the city will pay out if they lose tons. Police surveyed Rosas' home near Del Mar College 2 years before executing the raid, February 19, 2015. Their target was Rosas' nephew, who was out at the link, suspected of dealing drugs, and was finally put on probation. Officers used the flashbang device on Rosas' bedroom window early in the morning. Rosas later said he was taken by surprise and he couldn't see or hear, which is correct. That's the intent of a flash bomb. He also later said he thought his home was under attack from gang members because they had previously retaliated against him. Rosas said he surrendered when he realized the intruders were police. Officers' testimony about his reaction to being arrested differed. Some described him as aggressive and using profanity. You know, they used that in his case. They said he cursed at us and was mad. Every evidence showed that when he realized they were cops, he probably said, "You gotta be effing kidding me. You just bombed my bedroom window and I got my disabled 80-something grandma in the house." But they used that response he had, which was the proper response, or the normal response, that if a bomb went off in your bedroom, which the cop shot a flash bang into his bedroom, that was used against him. I remember this. They left something out, but I'll finish. Some described him as aggressive and using profanity. Others said he was cooperative, and he told them. Now, if they didn't mention it in this article, but in the other articles I read on this, the jurors themselves said you could tell the other cops were lying. Okay? The jurors knew that the other cops that were making it look like Rosas was attacking them, the jurors said you could tell they were lying. He was acquitted. Rosas' lawsuit also accused the officers of being excessively rough with his 82-year-old mother, mentally disabled brother, and 2 sisters. One of the women was strip searched without cause. The officers' responses claimed they acted in good faith and thought their actions were proper. The officers' actions were based on probable cause and were taken in good faith, believed that they were reasonable and proper. Till this day, Mark, I'll end it, thinks it's reasonable and proper to shoot a bomb into a residence on a so-called drug crime on a nephew that later got probation. How do you justify that? Rosas was initially charged with attempted capital murder, which prosecutors, I remember why they dismissed it because they wouldn't lose the case. Prosecutors gave the jury charges of aggravated assault on a public servant, 5A. Where's the rest of it? I remember this case. I spoke on this case. Jurors spoke to lawyers afterward and said they believed Rosas was impaired, and also they left this out, and jurors said they thought you could tell the cops were lying, the bad cops. Rosas' suit also claims, because the other good cops told the truth on the stand, claims the city failed to properly officers on excessive force, accuses the police department of having policies that allow for excessive force in routine arrests. Look, I've given you cases of assaults, not even in arrest, targeted assaults. And I don't want to give his name again. Police use of no-knock raids have recently come under scrutiny. Washington Post and New York Times wrote about this case, and I remember reading it. They said it was a travesty. Markle previously told the Caller Times the department was reviewing its policies. He said the review was called for apart from the Rosas, something else. So they didn't even change that. It's just amazing. I just was reading the paper, and I'll do the last one. What that shows to me is the incompetence of this chief. Because national newspapers, the two, Washington Post, New York Times, I commented on the past. And he still, as far as we know, he didn't even change that. So that's another one that just, he is suing. Now, whether they will target him, you have such a problem in this city. You have such a problem. I don't know if those who are friendly with, Markle and all, and you like talk, don't you realize these things, this is just one, made it to national news about the incompetence of that raid. I remember I talked about that. And Markle, even now, I thought they might have changed it 2 years ago. No, and now the city, if they lose the suit, which they should, is going to pay out. You strip searched one of the girls in that home. You were looking for a nephew that might have had drugs, and the crime was so low level he finally got probation. It wasn't considered a big methamphetamine thing. I think it was pot. And the city leaders, did you ever ask Mr. Markle? You've had so many problems in city leadership here that the man is basically unsupervised. He should have immediately been questioned. If I was just on the council, a commissioner, I would have had him in and said, Mr. Markle, this case drew national attention and drew wide criticism across the country. At the time when I spoke on the Rosas case, which is the flash bomb incident, it's now used by other departments, from what I remember, as what not to do. So a councilman could have called Markle in and said, sir, that alone, never mind all the other ones, just on that alone, and I just found out now, Markle still hasn't changed the policy of the no-knock policy. Look, if you're going to shoot a flash bomb into a resident's home, you do it because if it's a high-level thing, in that case it was a low-level thing, and after the mistake you made, you charged him with capital murder, or attempted capital murder. And I remember, and he was, this man was told by Guy Williams, if I remember, I think he said, if I were you, I would sue the DA. I believe Guy Williams said that, which was Strzka, but he's suing the city and the police. And you defended, you still defend that action, which drew wide criticism from professionals in policing across the country, and you still defend that action. I don't know why this man has still got his job, I'll be honest with you. I don't know how he holds on to his job. And you talked about excessive use of force. The ones I gave you were targeted use of force, no arrests. The names I gave you, I can't keep giving those names because those guys have been targeted again. And two left town. So we'll end with that one. You thought there'd be accountability. I thought Markle had corrected it, done something about it. I went to the website of CCPD to see. It's not a good website. But one guy just left a complaint. I didn't agree with it, but he wrote it on the website. It's a CCPD website. It said, don't let these something punks push you around. And I didn't like the comment that he made. He said, if they try to put, I wondered if it was planted to see if others would say something. I didn't like it because he simply said, oh, they're all a bunch of punks and all. And those of you that have been watching these, my view of what they had done is the leadership in that department, the senior people, got away with a lot of things. So my view is not they're all a bunch of punks. My view is this younger generation of cops who been trained more in being approaching the public and all of that. It's a disgrace that you still got this type of leadership over that department. That's what the disgrace is. They're not all a bunch of punks. And somebody else wrote that, something to that effect, on the CCPD website. It's leadership. Do you understand? You need to get somebody. That should have been corrected. There should have been a complete review. That case, Rosas, drew national attention on how bad it was, substandard it was for policing. New York Times was. I thought for sure they changed something by now. Markle, according to this, said, well, we were looking into it before the Rosas case. I don't believe that's true. He more than likely is lying about that. And if you're looking into that before, you still haven't made the change. So it's preferable for the citizens to pay out. You got the insurance, and the city changed its policy a few years ago. They said, we're going to now challenge every suit. They got rid of the old city attorney, and then they got another one in, and they said, now the new one that came in, they praised the new city attorney. They said, no, now we're starting to challenge. And they said, look how much we're saving, we're taking. How about if some of those, quote, challenges to citizens were abuse on citizens? How about that? You prided yourself in, wow, we got good lawyers now. So if our cops are doing criminal activity or abuse, we now challenge it. We're saving money now. What kind of justice is that? What kind of leadership do you have over this city? This will be the last. I wasn't going to make another one because now I got to go upload it. Rosas case.